Before we make any commentary on these two diagrams that accompany Lesson 2, I encourage you to read the written lesson and pay attention to those headings. The first heading is Genesis helps us understand the world today. Otherwise, why would we read it? And there's a quote there from John Paul II explaining the importance of Genesis in order to understand men and the world. Key to understanding the world today, he says. So read those paragraphs. And again, the emphasis that Bible myth does not mean legend. No, it's inspired myth, and its possibility of meaning cannot be depleted. It is so deep. So please read that paragraph. And then understanding about God being light and what it means when we say there was light. Please look over these headings before you come to the symbolism that's carried in Genesis. Everything in that those two early stories about creation have symbolic meaning. It's not just a simple narration about what happened. It has a double and much deeper meaning. Then we come to this first diagram. Man, you see, is created to be the friend of God. Now that is a statement with great implications. The understanding is that mankind was once friends with God. And in order to think about God, we need to think about how the Hebrews who wrote this story understood God. To the Hebrews, God was monolithic. And that we symbolize by making a rectangle, a solid rectangle. The Hebrew monolithic God. However, in Figure 2, we realize that with the New Testament, we have a new understanding of God. God is a triune unity of persons. We even have a hint of that in the first chapter of Genesis, where God speaks of our and us. See Genesis 1:26. So there is already a hint that God is not a monolith, but a triune unity of persons. And with that, we draw a new rectangle divided into three parts. A first part to the left, a second part to the far right, and in the center, a third part. Why this configuration? Well, the first and second persons, Father and Son, it is revealed in Scriptures, are united in the Holy Spirit. So the third person is in the center. The arrows show the bond of love between the first and second persons. And this implies dynamism, love, union, ecstasy, and creativity. Note that there's an equality of these persons, and that first, second, and third designate order, not value. The first person is not the most valuable or has the most power. No, they are opposition. There's polarity here. And they are not exchangeable. They can't take each other's places. They never do. But the attributes are shared by all. There's unity in the Holy Spirit. But the second person is dependent on the first. There's never one without the others. Then we move to Figure 3. There again we have the Godhead, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, 3 in 1. But now we have another rectangle divided into 3, and it's named mankind or Adam. mankind is made in God's image, a first and second person united in the Holy Spirit. We see this in the marriage altar at the Catholic Church, where the man and woman are joined by the Holy Spirit for a truly sacramental marriage. Now, obposition is different from opposition. Ob simply means facing each other. There is the facing of the man to the woman as the father faces the son. Now, these roles, again, are non-exchangeable, and the attribute shared by one of the persons is shared by all of the persons. There's a unity of the two in one, unity of man and woman in the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit unifies the persons, both in the Holy Trinity and in mankind. The second person is dependent on the first person. This is what headship in the family means. There was never a time, however, when one was without the other, and we'll see if you read in your writing, in the written lesson, that there's a reason for the second story sounding as if the woman was a later creation. That's not what the story means, because there was never a time when man was without woman. All right, then we move over to figure 4. And this is the most amazing part of all. For God, the Godhead, the Trinity, has united mankind with himself in a new perfection, in a new Trinity. God and mankind are joined together before the fall in the Garden of Eden by the Holy Spirit. Mankind can think God's thoughts after him and obey his holy will. And between them is love, creativity, and ecstasy. The second person's stance, which is mankind here, is willing response to God. And the first person's stance of God to man is to initiate, to order, to govern, all for the benefit of the whole. The third person unifies the opposites, just in each Holy Trinity. This is the marvel of the creation of the human being in the image and likeness of God.